There have been many reports of a massive creature that haunts the snow-capped mountains of Ben Macdowey. Easily 10 feet tall and covered in a thick coat of grey fur with eyes that glow with an unearthly light. Its massive head covered in matted fur. The legend of the Big Grey Man. Mountaineer Peter Dasham had always been an adventurous man. He loved the thrill of climbing mountains and pushing himself to the limit. However, one climb would change his life forever. It was a bright summer's day in 1943 when Dasham set out to climb the mountain. As he ascended the rugged terrain, he felt a sense of unease wash over him. At first, he brushed it off as nerves, but the feeling only grew stronger as he climbed higher. Suddenly, Densham heard strange sounds, footsteps and breathing that seemed to be following him. He turned around, but there was nothing there. Despite this, he felt as if though he was being stalked. The mountain was known for its treacherous conditions and unpredictable weather, but Densham had never felt so scared in his life. He tried to rationalize the sounds he heard, but the feeling of being watched never left him. Densham pressed on, hoping to reach the summit before dark. As he climbed higher, the sounds grew louder and more persistent. He felt as if though he was being hunted. Finally, Densham reached the point where he could go no further. He was exhausted, frightened, and alone. Suddenly, he heard a growling sound that sent shivers down his spine, but all he could see was the rocky terrain. Densham knew he had to get off that mountain. He ran all the way down without looking back. When he finally reached the base, he collapsed from exhaustion and fear. Densham's encounter became a thing of legend among climbers. Some believed that he had been stalked by a wild animal. Others thought that he'd been followed by a ghost or a demon. However, the most famous encounter with the Big Grey Man happened in 1925, when a lone mountaineer, J. Norman Colley, set out to explore the rugged terrain of the mountain. Colley was a seasoned climber, well versed in the dangers of mountaineering, but nothing could have prepared him for what he was about to face. Colley began his climb alone. For several hours, he ascended the mountain without incident. The wind was howling and the heavy snow made it difficult for him to see a few feet in front of him. However, Colley continued to press on, facing the harsh conditions. Then, suddenly, he heard an eerie sound, like footprints crunching through the snow. He paused for a moment and listened, but the sound stopped as well. He shrugged it off and, feeling slightly confused, he pressed on. He continued forward, thinking nothing of it as he climbed higher into the peaks of the mountain. But out of nowhere, he was startled by the sound once again, but this time louder and more distinct. The sound of footsteps. It sent a shiver up Colley's spine and he quickly spun around, expecting to see someone behind him, but to his surprise, there was nothing there. Shaken by the unknown, Colley continued to climb higher into the peaks. He began to experience an eerie sense of unease. He felt as if though he was being followed by something, but could not see what it was. Despite the lack of any visible threat, Colley's feeling of unease persisted and intensified as he continued the climb. He continued ascending the mountain, but the feeling that he was being followed grew stronger each step. The higher Colley climbed, the more he honed in the fact that he was being stalked, or even hunted. The feeling intensified to the point where he felt so threatened he could barely think straight. Reaching the summit plateau and fearing for his life, Colley abandoned his climb and began descending as quickly as possible, stumbling amongst the rocky terrain and deep snow, finally reaching the bottom exhausted and shaken to the core. Despite his vast mountaineering experience, he began to question his own sanity and what had happened near the summit. Densham and Colley's encounter on the mountain were not isolated experiences. In fact, other hikers in recent years have also reported unusual sightings and eerie experiences. For instance, in 2018, Andrew Lemon Collo heard growling sounds and had the unsettling feeling of being watched. Too scared to explore further, he described the experience as truly terrifying and quickly fled the area, fearing for his life. The legend of the Big Grey Man has been around for decades, and there are many accounts of hikers and climbers encountering a mysterious figure on that mountain. As for what the Scottish locals think of the legend, Opinions vary. Some people think that the Big Grey Man is just a myth, while others think there may be some truth to the stories. There are also those who believe that the sightings of the Big Grey Man are simply the results of people's imaginations running wild in the isolated eerie mountain landscape. These stories of encounters with the Big Grey Man continue to captivate and intrigue thrill seekers and adventurers around the world. Whether the creature is a physical entity or a figment of the imagination, the legend of the Carnarvon Mountains lives on. So, would you be brave enough to climb the Carnarvon Mountains alone? If you really like this video, it would mean so much to me if you hit that like or even that subscribe button for more crazy stories. Thanks for watching Haunted Histories.